Good afternoon. Welcome to the Labor Forum. We're here on WRFG 89.3 FM in Atlanta. My name is Dianne Mathiowetz. I'm a retired auto worker and the co-host of this program along with Kenyon Beasley. Hi, Kenyon.
Hey, how's it going, Dianne?
And Kenyon is with the American Postal Workers Union.
Yes.
And I want to welcome everyone to this program. You know, this is the third Monday that we have gone to the expanded 1 hour. And we are trying to make each show really a very, vitally interesting, fact-filled analysis, all kinds of information that working people and their families and communities need to have some knowledge of. So one of the things that we are instituting here at the Labor Forum is we're going to start the program off each Monday with a look back in history, so that we have some idea of where we've come from as workers and where we're going to go. I want to make sure that everyone is aware, of course, that the opinions expressed on this program may not necessarily be those of the Board of Directors, staff, or volunteers at WRFG, and that you know that the song that starts the Labor Forum off is by John Fromer from a CD entitled We Do the Work. And what other things do I want to say? I want to make sure that you know that if you're not able to listen on your radio, that you always can go to your computer and listen online at www.wrfg.org. And the WRFG also has an app so that you're able to hear the program on other mobile devices. And of course then the unique feature so far here at WRFG is that the Labor Forum has also got its very own YouTube channel. We're calling it Workers TV, and you can go to YouTube and find the Labor Forum YouTube channel, and that allows you to actually see those of the folks who are here in the studio and watch us as we do the program. So I want to make sure everyone is always aware. Oh, and the other thing that's cool about the YouTube channel is that it's archived, so you can watch past programs as well. So we're going to start off with Paul McLennan. Before I start, I want to say this other thing. I did the Labor Forum program by myself for a little over 3 years, and now there's this super team that we have here where we're working together to bring you the best, not just in what's happening here in Atlanta, but really a much broader definition of what is worker news, what's important to working people. And so I really want to thank Kenyon and Paul for being part of that team, and I want to make sure that you also know that there's some folks behind the scenes, that we have great people on the board. We want to thank Chris, and we want to thank Ozzy, who does the video. And all of this is an effort to make sure that we get this information out in the best way possible. So what you got for us today, Paul?
Okay, miners have been in the news lately because of the tragedy in Turkey. So we're going to go back to 1946 and talk about coal miners in this country. No year before or since has seen so many strikes and such a large percentage of people on strike, or as many industries affected by strikes, as 1946.
The year I was born.
He's a great year.
Unions that continued to press beyond the general labor settlements established in the auto and steel industries after World War II found themselves facing an additional and powerful adversary, the federal government. On May 21st, 1946, the U.S. government seized control of the nation's coal mines in order to maintain production during a nationwide coal strike. The month before, the United Mine Workers had called for a strike of 400,000 coal miners for improved wages, health benefits, and safety regulations. In May, railroad workers also joined the coal miners, threatening to bring the entire nation to a halt. By mid-May, the strike had crippled industrial production, and on May 21st, President Truman seized the mines and ordered the strikers back to work. The coal companies refused to agree to the settlement reached by the government and the United Mine Workers, So later that year, on November 21st, the workers walked out again. Upon refusing an injunction to resume work, a U.S. judge found the union in contempt of court and fined the United Mine Workers $3,500,000, later reduced to $700,000, before the union ended the strike on December 7th. The government agreed to most of the union's demands while operating the mines, and the coal companies agreed to the bulk of the union's terms in 1947 in order to get their property back. Fast forward to 2010, and we see miners in this country still struggling against management for safety on the job. That year, 29 coal miners were killed at the former Massey Energy's Upper Big Branch, West Virginia mine. It took 3 years, but last year a mine superintendent was sentenced to serve 21 months in prison for his role in disabling a monitor that automatically shuts down a coal cutting machine when dangerous levels of an explosive gas are detected. This same superintendent also pleaded guilty to deceiving Mine Safety and Health Administration inspectors and hiding safety violations. He was accused of taking part in a scheme to provide advance warning of inspections and concealing violations before the inspectors could arrive at the working sections of the huge underground mine. Today we are facing the tragic loss of 300 lives at a coal mine in Turkey. In a solidarity statement, International President of the United Mine Workers, Cecil Roberts, issued a statement which said in part, "The magnitude of this tragedy is appalling. I see where the media is calling this an industrial accident, but a disaster on this scale is no accident.
That's right.
This mine was clearly a bomb waiting to go off. There could not have been any regulatory enforcement or company oversight of what went on in that mine. We stand ready to work with the Turkish miners and their government to help develop safety and health procedures that can help put an end to the possibility of these sorts of massive disasters in the future." The right of workers to do their job in a safe environment is a human right. Around the world, all workers must organize to defend this right and fight the corporate greed that is responsible for so many unnecessary deaths.
Thank you, Paul. I wanted to talk a little bit more about this connection between miners' safety here in the United States and in Turkey. So I did a little more research. I think everybody, has been following this situation in Turkey. They actually buried the last person yesterday. It was 301 miners who actually died in that disaster. Interestingly enough, yesterday as well, the Turkish government actually arrested, or no, I don't think it's the correct word, detained for questioning some 24 people, including top executives and managers of this mine. And I think if people saw some of the news, you've seen that there have been huge demonstrations in this town of Soma, as well as in other major cities in Turkey. And it's a continuing struggle that's going on in Turkey because they have a government led by a party that has been really moving very quickly to privatize industry, including mines. And in fact, this mine in Soma had been a state-run mine, but it was sort of turned over to some crony friends of the party that's in power, and it had been charged with numerous violations in the past. And I just sort of thought that this is, people may want to think that that isn't the situation here in the United States, but I thought maybe we might talk about that a little bit, because last Monday 2 miners died in West Virginia in a mine called, I looked it up, Brody, I think it was. And this mine had so many violations over so many years that actually had something called pattern of violations. In other words, it just over and over and over and over again. And I think all of us worked on jobs where safety was an issue. So throw in on this question about what has been happening in Turkey, what happens here in the United States about worker safety on the job.
Well, one thing I like to say is, I know it's not a political show, we are the labor forum, but conservatives preach a lot of less government. Well, this isn't the first mining accident we've seen. We've seen them over the years, from '46 all the way until this very day. You just mentioned last week. It always comes down to where they have a, I'm not sure the name of the organization, I'm sorry, well.
It's an agency, yeah,
Right.
mining health and safety or something like that.
Well, when you find these accidents happening, it always, there's a list of violations that the agency has let go unchecked, and this is what it results in. Less government. Where's the government? The government belongs to the people, and if we get the agencies to do exactly what they're supposed to do, we can do away with all these accidents. At least make a major dent in them. Safety is a major issue. OSHA, when it was established, had everything to do with so many accidents happening all over the country. I mean, private companies. Profit is the first and foremost thing when it comes to a private company. They don't care about blockout tags and rails around certain machines. None of that comes into play, because their whole thing is let's make some money. It's a tragedy. It's happening over and over, but more involved.
One of the other things I found out about this Turkish mine disaster, like I said, this prime minister, his name is Erdogan. I think I pronounced that correctly. And if people remember, last year there were huge demonstrations in Turkey, and it was over. The thing that sparked it was that the government was going to cut down a park, all these trees in a park, and turn this green space, of which there's not very much in Istanbul, into another kind of big building. Big building. And so the youth, it started out again with youth who came out and said, they didn't want this park destroyed, and it ended up being this, again, a spark that led to huge dissatisfaction with so many issues, the low wages, the privatization, such a big pro-business attitude of the Turkish government. Anyhow, one of the things that his party has done is it has also changed the child labor laws.
Okay.
So one of those dead miners was a 15-year-old boy.
Wow.
And in this town of Soma, there's really very little else for people to do, again, other jobs. So that this industry, this incredibly dangerous industry, and I really say that if you haven't seen anything on corporate media about it, there's all kinds of ways on the internet to hear from the people, the relatives of those who have died, and to really see how this drive for profit at all cost is really, these people are not calling it an accident, they're calling it murder. And that it was murder by this particular company, but also murder by the government, because they did nothing to enforce the rules that would have saved those workers' lives. And I just want to say that that's, I think, really carries over here to, the power of coal companies, power companies, oil and gas companies. We see it in so many things where the issue of safety of communities, we could talk a lot about oil and gas pipelines and these trains that are hauling this oil that are exploding and creating massive toxic chemical problems in towns across the country. And all of it still is because it will make more money.
All in the pursuit of profit.
So, does anybody else have a concluding remark? Because I think our other guest just walked in?
Not exactly.
Not exactly sure. We're going to move into a next segment where we want to talk about what's happening with the Staples campaign with the post office workers. And we'll just take a little moment here and move some chairs around and bring our other guest in. and then we'll have that conversation. And so we will be right back, and stay tuned. You are listening to the Labor Forum here on WRFG 89.3 FM. Somebody here? Oh, we're here. Come on up.
On Saturday, July 12th, from 2 to 7 p.m., there will be lots of fun, music, dance, games, vendors, kids zones, and good delicious food. Come out, enjoy, and celebrate the many years of independent community broadcasting. That's the 41st WRFG Birthday Bash celebration to be held Saturday, July 12th from 2 to 7 p.m. on the grounds of the Little 5 Points Community Center for Arts and Culture at 1083 Austin Avenue Northeast, Atlanta, 30307. Stay tuned for more information soon to be announced.
Hi, we're back here on the Labor Forum on WRFG 89.3 FM. We're going to move into our next little segment, and this is, Kenyon is with the American Postal Workers Union and the Post Office in general. We've had several programs on WRFG's Labor Forum about just what is happening with these privatization efforts by management and Congress, let's be real, and by the big companies, FedEx and UPS, to essentially take over and make lots and lots of money off of a service that all of us here in the United States consider to be a service. In other words, not a business to make money, but a service that every person should be able to have the possibility and the right to receive mail, and to mail everybody else in the country as well. So Kenyon has been one of the activists who's been out on the streets day after day.
Beating the street.
And it's over this issue, and a lot of people may not understand this. There's several ways that the post office is being attacked. But we're specifically talking about this idea now that they've come up with to have the private, for-profit office retail stores, Staples, be post offices. So Kenyon, if you wouldn't mind introducing our new other guest and then telling us what this is all about.
Well, here we are. First of all, feeling real good right now because I get to introduce a female in the labor movement. Actually, within our local, she's the first, one of the highest elected female official. She serves as vice president for Local 32 of the American Postal Workers Union. Her name is Stacey Brown.
Hey, Stacey.
And I'm actually the very first female vice president for our local.
Oh, yeah.
Well, history
Has made
finally has come to where it should be. All right. So both of you, if you could go ahead and let our listeners know, I mean, anybody who's been listening to this program, on any kind of regular basis, has heard this story, but there surely are some folks out there that don't know what we're talking about. So Kenyon is wearing a Stop Staples sticker on his shirt, and he has been one of the people who's been organizing demonstrations at dozens and dozens of Staples now since February. So let's start with what it is that the post office wants. I want to say, when I say post office, I'm talking about post office management,
Right.
upper echelons.
Right.
What their idea is with having a deal with Staples.
Well, it's actually, and I'm pretty sure you've heard it before. If you haven't, here it is. The PMG, Postmaster General, actually entered into a secret contract with Staples, the company Staples. We had to go to court and, of course, go through all of the legal stuff in order to get access to the contract. And even when we got it, everything was redacted, blacked out, where we weren't able to see what the actual intention was. Well, what we were able to find out is it's a deliberate effort in order to contract out postal jobs. You're talking about middle income jobs being traded for, $7, $8 an hour, no benefits, and the labor movement. What we believe is everybody's entitled to a decent lifestyle. They should be able to afford a decent lifestyle. This whole Staples program, us the Postal Service being the second largest employer next to Walmart, civilian employer. We employ largest employer of veterans. It's an attack. It's an attack on the country. That's exactly the way we're seeing it. We out there every day, every day. The latest development, just to give you an idea of what's actually going on, Atlanta or the metro area, along with California, Massachusetts, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The thing is, we were picked as one of the model cities. How can I say?
Pilot program.
Yes, yes.
Actual pilot program to get out our labor force and help to bring awareness to the consumer how the Staples thing hurts actual career employees, future career employees. It violates our collective bargaining because this is not something that was brought to APW prior to the Postal Service going into this contract, this secret contract with Staples. So we're just trying to get the word out, get the information out to the consumer and to our career employees as well, that this is not part of our collective bargaining agreement. APW is not in agreement with it, and it hurts our jobs and our livelihood in the future.
As well as the country as a whole.
Well, yeah, so let me ask some of these questions because one of the things that is always mentioned is that you as postal workers take an oath. Not only do you take an oath about the security of the mail, but you also are trained about the security of the mail and that you know all the rules and regulations.
Absolutely.
So yeah, obviously we have to say that with nothing against any Staples employee, but if it's a shifting workforce, not trained, and you go into Staples and think that you can get your certified mail sent or the right postage on the box or whatever, that may not be happening.
Right, it doesn't have a guaranteed protection that postal employees, as you said, we take an oath to protect the sanctity of the mail, and that's not something that Staples employees are required to do. And as far as the processing of the mail, we have standards and guidelines that we have to go by as postal employees, and that's not something that they're doing in Staples. And ultimately, once the mail is dropped off to Staples, it still has to come to the Postal Service to be processed and delivered.
So I think this is, again, this is another example. We just can go over so many different ways that businesses think that by moving part of their operations to like a subcontractor, and that's essentially what Staples is now, just like all of the food services at schools or the buses or whatever, and then bid it out to the lowest bid, that somehow the product, the service is going to stay at the same.
Absolutely. Just like the major companies that have shipped a lot of jobs overseas for cheaper labor. It's not overseas, but it is here in the United States, and it's a cheaper workforce, but not with the same quality of processing or delivering your mail.
So let me just make sure that our listeners know that there are ways that they can support the postal workers, and what are those?
Kenyon?
Well, one of the ways, you said, feet in the street, we're there. We got rallies going on pretty much every day of the week. You're more than welcome to come out. If I could, I'd like to tell you the latest rally we got up. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock in the morning, we'll be out in, what is it, Conyers? Conyers. We'll be out in Conyers. All through the week, we're out there. If you need any information, you can contact us, 44349-5411. That's the Union Hall. We have a posted schedule, and
We'll welcome all the support from our consumers.
I would say, having been on a couple of them, both they're really quite spirited.
I gotta talk about it.
They're quite spirited demonstrations.
God,
There's no standing around looking glum.
Oh no.
We were in the rain yesterday.
we're postal workers. We encompass every category there is as far as people are concerned, and that's one of the good things about the post office. So when you do come to one of our rallies, I expect some excitement. It's all within the rules. We are postal workers. We do have an oath that we took, and we don't take it lightly. So that bleeds over into how we act when we are out there protesting. Hey, let me tell you about yesterday. Anybody that's out there within the listening area of this radio station knows what the weather was yesterday. We started at about 1 o'clock, overcast the whole time. A couple people called and say, hey, look, it's raining cats and dogs out here. I know we're not getting out there today. I was like, hey, what is our creed?
Rain, sleet, snow, hail. Dark of night.
Hey,
We still deliver the mail.
hey, we showed up, and the weather, it was cooperative up until an hour in. Slowly but surely, the raindrops began to fall. Next thing you know, everybody's pulling out umbrellas. Everybody's, ducking up under the signs. The main thing is nobody left. Nobody left.
Absolutely.
And the response we got from the public, customers who are going into the post office, it was tremendous. And I felt good, and everybody out there felt good. Everybody, we all soaking in wet. We had a meeting afterwards. Everybody's dripping, but everybody's smiling. So
the mission was accomplished?
Absolutely, absolutely. So listen, it's all for good cause, and that's why everybody stayed out there. We do understand that there are fights all the way around when it comes to this labor movement. But if we stick together, stick it out like we did yesterday, we will make more progress than anybody could ever imagine. And that's exactly what's going on right now. Hey, postal service, labor as a whole, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I really am. But one thing I do want to point out, going back to what we were speaking of earlier, when we do talk about government, private companies being only out for profit, well, let me tell you what's happening within the Postal Service. I was getting ready to mention San Francisco is one of those pilot cities where they are doing this whole program with Staples. Well, just last week, the post office cut hours on post offices within a 5-mile radius of Staples stores out there. Put a sign on the door and told the customers what the new hours were, and if they needed anything after those hours, to go to Staples. That blew my mind. It blew my mind. They're saying that they are for the employees, but at the same time, their actions are showing something else. And this is what we got to stop it. We just got to stop it. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, we plan on winning, but whatever the outcome is, we don't want any other company to think that they want to do anything against employees. And that's mainly what our mission is.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, one of the things that's quite obvious is Staples has already shut down stores in areas that they say are not profitable, not producing enough
Boggles the
profit.
mind even more.
So here we go. If the post office were to close down or shorten hours at people's post offices they've come to rely on, as being in the community, and then Staples closes that store down, and now the people don't have their post office and they don't have the Staples store either. It's just, it goes just back to what we have been talking about over and over. When the only reason for providing a service is to make money, you're never guaranteed that service.
Absolutely. You're
never guaranteed that product being produced at a high quality. You know, I'm a GM worker. I retired out of GM. We're going to do a program about General Motors because it's so clear. It has become so clear in these investigations that for just a few pennies more, all of these people would not have died. with this defective starter. And we can go company after company, and we're going to be talking about fast food workers in a short minute, and over and over and over again. The bottom line is if what drives the economy is profit, it's going to kill and injure and harm workers.
Absolutely.
So one more time, if you wouldn't mind, how is it that, because I know there's a petition and there's a lot of other ways that besides coming out on a picket line, that people could help the post office workers.
Write your congressman.
And don't forget stopstaples.com where you are able to sign the petition. And please come out and join us. I didn't have the schedule up in front of me earlier, but I do now, and if I could.
Sure.
I would like to let everybody know exactly what we'll be. Tomorrow morning, 7 to 8:30, we're out in Conyers, Georgia. Later on that day, 10 o'clock to 11:30, we'll be out in Lithonia. Wednesday, Peachtree City, same time, 7 to 8:30. Later on that day, 10 to 11:30, Fayetteville. Thursday, Roswell, 7 to 8:30. Later on that day again, Milton, 10 to 11:30. And then Friday, we're going to deal with the traffic. We got no problem. We can stand rain, we can stand traffic. Everybody will be down in McDonald.
And the locations are the Staples stores in those areas.
Right. McDonald Staples store, as Stacy said, that's 7 to 8:30. And also Morrow Staples store, which is 10 to 11:30. That's on Friday. And then we double back to Lithonia this Saturday, which will be 12 to 2 p.m. If you could, we appreciate any and all support that we can get with this. It really is a fight for the community because, as Dianne said earlier, in the pursuit of profit, those services will go down, and you can't expect the community to suffer simply because if these stores do close, the community has no input on what a private company does. The post office belongs to you, the people.
And especially for elderly or people who are immobile and cannot get to a post office. I mean, you have your letter carriers that deliver your mail. If you have mail that needs to be mailed, you can stick it in your box, put your little flag up, and the carrier will take it back to the post office for you. Staples employees are not going to come to your house and pick up your mail. They're not going to come to your house and deliver your mail. So the Postal Service is the only guaranteed way to get your first class mail delivered in a timely manner.
And very low in cost.
That's right.
Every time somebody, I have to say, every time somebody complains about a stamp going up a penny or something, I want to say, oh, run over to FedEx and UPS and ask them how much they're going to charge you, because not only that, they don't deliver everywhere, so they're going to take that box that they don't deliver to and take it to the post office and have the postal carriers deliver it.
That's right. And some of these foreign countries, it's upwards of $2, $3, $4, to mail a letter in other countries. So yeah, we do have the cheapest postage out there.
Hey, I got another funny story. We were actually getting ready to set up out in East Point, and getting ready to set up for one of the rallies at the East Point store. And we're in Staples parking lot, and the customer rides up to us and asks, do we know where another one of, I don't want to say our competitors, because we actually deliver their mail also, so I go ahead and say it. They wanted to know where the nearest FedEx was. And it's FedEx, and we all turned around and she sees the shirts. And she's like, oops. It's like, well listen, why you can't just go to the post office, which is right around the corner? She says, well, I got a coupon. Coupon from FedEx. And it's like, well, whatever that coupon is, I guarantee you, whatever they're giving you off is just going to bring the price down to what the post office is going to charge you to do the same thing. There's a marketing thing going on, and the post office don't do a very good job at it. We are trying, and I'm not sure if everybody's noticed the Spider-Man along the trucks.
Oh yeah.
Hey, we're trying, but at the same time, it still comes to a matter of private companies pretty much trying to take the service away from the American people, and we can't have that.
I want to thank both of you, and thank you so much for coming in, because I know
thank
you
you.
rushed over. We're going to go into our next segment, which is we want to have an update on what happened Thursday with the International Global Strike Day of Fast Food Workers, and we're going to have a conversation with Connie Ogletree. who's a McDonald's worker, and so please stay right where you are. We're going to do a little shift on the chairs here, and then we'll be right back. Okay, well, I didn't give Chris any music, and you guys don't want to hear me sing, so I'm going to ask him if you just play a little bit of We Do the Work while we do some work here moving some chairs around. Can you do that, Chris? Oh, you're going to sing. All right, we gotta slide you back. How do you come up?
All right. If I had known that this was where we were going to be, my sister did her internship here. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry about that. I wasn't ready. I should be from now on though.
I gotta bring my mother music.
I had the outro song, but I was like, I don't know.
Okay, are we ready? Okay, we are in our closing segment. This will be the last part of the program today here on the Labor Forum.
Last but not least.
Yes, and we're excited about this because I tell you, those fast food workers raised HELL all over the world on this past Thursday, and I do believe the reason we asked Connie to come back, we had a program last week where we had low-wage workers talking about their conditions on their job, both out at the airport and at the various fast food chains. But this was a historic event. I'm going to say that I don't know in how many decades that this date, May 15, 2014, is going to be one of those dates that are going to be on labor calendars about signaling an incredible event that took place. Just to recap, fast food workers in at least 150 U.S. cities.
Wow.
And I'm not talking, we're talking big cities, but we're talking towns in Alabama, Opelika, we're talking little towns in Missouri, we're talking towns all across this country where fast food workers, their allies and supporters, their families all came out. But we're also talking at least 33 countries. And I actually went online and wrote them down. So I'm just going to start.
All 33?
No, but this is just incredible. There were fast food worker demonstrations in Morocco, Malawi, 30 different cities, or 30 different states, they're called prefectures, in Japan, Hong Kong, Korea, India, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, New Zealand, Belgium. 20 different cities in the UK, Germany, Ireland, Brazil in 5 different states, Argentina, El Salvador, Panama, Dominican Republic, and there probably were more.
Yes, they were.
Okay, so Connie, congratulations to you and all fast food workers.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, so why don't you give us a little rundown what happened here in Atlanta, then we'll segue into the big question is,
Well,
what meaning is this going to have for all of workers?
what happened in Atlanta, throughout the U.S. and globally was people united because and what was so heartfelt by me was the many, many people that were outside of our country that joined our cause. These people already make a living wage, and they stood with us just to increase our voice, to make awareness, to everyone that's able to listen, to be able to hear and to know that what was founded in this country is not giving the people that built these large corporations and afforded these billionaires all this money, that the people who are doing the grunt work every day are barely able to make a wage that's paying bills and supporting families. My heart just cried out when some of the emails that I got or some of the stories that I saw online from countries, like Dianne and I've just said, all over the world, Denmark, France. It was overwhelming, the pictures of the masses of people standing in front of Burger King, McDonald's, and other fast food chains over throughout the world that were in support of this cause for us here in the U.S. to make a livable wage. And, you know, my heart goes out to the postal workers as well, because the thing that the post office is trying to do is take the people who are trained to do a certain thing and give it to somebody who doesn't really care. They're just there to try to make $1 or 15 cents and just try to take something that's good and make it into something that's not so good anymore, because that's what's going to happen with that. So when we as a whole, with the Atlanta Raise Up 15 campaign here in Atlanta, Georgia, the people in Durham, North Carolina, the people in Opelika and all over the U.S. that went out on last Thursday, we braved the rain, we braved the weather, and you know, like Kenyon said, nobody went home. Nobody went home. We all stood out there in solidarity for this cause. Now, yes, we had naysayers, but you know, at the end of the day, as a collected group, we got our point across, and that was the mission. So we had a mission was accomplished, and we were all very satisfied with the work we did. Yes, we were tired, but it was a good tired. You know, sometimes you come home, you're tired, you just want to lay down. I got home that day and wanted to go online and see what else, you know, I could see.
That's an activist.
That just, you know, I don't think I laid down till about 1 o'clock, and then I still had my little computer in my hand. So, you know, we had a good time, and we got our message out, and that was the point. So,
If you wouldn't mind, I know there might have been some people who were listening to this program who might have seen you at one of the places, and then there are others who didn't. So where were you all day long?
oh my God, we got up at 4 o'clock. We left Castleberry Hotel across the street from Burger King on Northside Drive. We loaded our vans up. We went to Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme
Was our first stop. And
What time was
Midtown.
that was at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Hey,
5 a.m. It was drizzling. It was dark. And I think it was Jobs with Justice that came in with the light brigade. I stood there and I cried real tears like a baby. They came up with with these beautiful blue signs that said,
Raise the wage.
raise the wage. And I mean, it just touched me that we had so much support in the neighborhood at 5 in the morning. At 5 in the morning, in the rain, in the dark, at 5 o'clock in the morning, they came marching down the streets with these beautifully lit blue signs that said raise the wage. And they stood with us when the rain came down a little bit more. People started pulling out ponchos, people pulled out umbrellas. They were passing out, I mean, people were putting the signs on their heads. Nobody was willing to turn away because of the weather. We weren't letting anything stop us, because the cause is such a big thing nowadays that people need to be aware that we're serious about this. We're dead serious. We're tired of people making millions and billions and trillions of dollars, and then the little man has to get food stamps, but he's the reason that you got that million, billion, trillion dollar income coming in for whatever it is, the Burger King, the McDonald, the Taco Bell, the Krispy Kremes. And if you can stand up and look me face to face, dead in my eye, and say that's fair, I don't know what world you're in, but I don't want to visit.
Again, then you all went to Moreland Avenue.
We left Krispy Kreme. Actually, we left Krispy Kreme and we went down the street to Taco Bell. When we left Taco Bell, we had a short breakfast, and then we got back in the vans and went to Moreland Avenue to the Long John Silver's. We went to McDonald's and Wendy's. The crowd, I mean, it just grew and grew and grew, and you know, before we knew it, we had people taking personal cars, filling them up because the vans were full. You know, so the enthusiasm was big. People were, you know, fired up. We had one guy that I don't know if he was drinking coffee or what, but he was just bouncing all over the place with the bullhorn. And I was like, you know, that's what it is when you're young. You know, he had to be about maybe 25 or 30 years old. And, you know, I had screamed and yelled and shouted all the chants. About 12 o'clock, my little voice was going, but he was still going strong. They was like, Miss Connie, we got this. I was like, y'all, hey, take it. I got the sign. So, you know.
Well, I was out there and I took a few pictures, and one thing I noticed, the bullhorn traveled all throughout the crowd.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody got a chance.
That's true, that's true,
How the
that is
batteries
true.
lasted, I don't know, but that's.
I have no idea either, but you know, I'm thankful that they did.
Oh, yeah.
Because people were listening. The people would blow the
Oh, yeah.
horns, the truckers were pulling on the string, blowing the horns. We were getting people just, you know, getting ready to turn in and, oh no. They pulled right back out. We blocked Burger King. When we left Moreland, we went to back to Northside Drive and Fair Street to the Burger King. When we got there, you know, the crowd was humongous, and as we did the last time we were there, that particular Burger King, we shut them down. We shut down the drive-through. Now, usually we'll go inside the restaurant,
He locked it up.
but they locked the doors. So we
they
couldn't
shut
gain
themselves
entry.
down.
They shut themselves down as far as the lobby. So we shut down the drive-through. You know, we had a few people come in and, you know, try to wait till we marched back around to the other side. But a lot of people just left. They would read the sign and then they would go on. You know, they throw their hand up, give the thumbs up.
Right.
And it just, you know, made us feel that people were recognizing that our cause is a worthy cause and that nobody needs to be employed 20, 30, 40, 50 hours a week and still able to get food stamps. That makes no sense to me. I don't see, it's just, you know, I tell you, we just fought a good fight and we got awareness out there, and when we got the world involved, everybody looked and they said, okay.
So I really want to go into that next thing because what Connie has reported here, if you go online and you can go to city after city, this is really the same experience that was happening. There was a great deal of public support.
It
But
was.
the main thing is that the leadership of the fast food workers themselves, their spirit and their determination is what just
It was outstanding.
lit this up all
It
over the
did.
world.
It did.
So I guess I want to talk a little bit more about how this is an exciting development. It really, in my opinion, points the way for how workers can win
Across the board.
against these everything, the austerity cuts, the attempts by corporations to keep pushing wages down. And at the very same time, they're the force in governments, whether it's Greece or here in the United States or wherever, to cut social services too. So it's government cuts social services, corporations cut wages. What are the people to do? And I think this is the example. This is
Wow.
what the people are to do.
That's a powerful question. What are the people to do?
Well, exactly what you're doing. All over the country. I've seen Day of Actions. I've never heard of more than, what was it, 100, how many
50.
cities? 150 cities.
150
Doing the
cities.
same thing, on the same page.
It was 33 countries and 150 cities in the U.S., 33 countries outside of the U.S.,
Wow.
which was, you know, it was just massive. The number of people on the front of USA Today, the AJC that were covering outside of the country was amazing, because it was awareness being put out on the front where everybody could see, well, what's going on over
Well,
there? Well, those people need a union of $15.
And that's what I saw when I was out there. I'm thinking, because I got to admit I was in the same boat. Last time you were here, you explained, I know you brought it home. And I think people out there just driving by, when you would get the thumbs up, they never even thought about it. But all of a sudden you out there, it's an issue now.
Yes, it is.
It's a major issue.
And you know, it seems like a simple job. And you know, it's not a rocket scientist job. You're not nursing, you're not a doctor. But when you take food and put it into your mouth, that's supposed to nourish your body. So you want to make sure that those people that are back there are doing the very best job that they can. And you don't want them worried about things like, oh, I got to pick the kid up. I can't pay for this. What am I going to do tomorrow? I don't have the money today. She won't take the baby tomorrow. The baby needs shoes. He's distracted. You need to be focused when you're running that grill. You need to be focused when you're making a solution that cleanses the utensils. I mean, it's a solution for everything at a fast food restaurant. And if the corporation comes in and those solutions aren't made properly, aren't labeled, aren't date stamped, aren't timed, you get marks for that. And the franchise and certainly the corporate stores don't like that. So who do they get on? The employee, the guy that just started making $7.25, who's been pushed into this thing and said, okay, this is what you gotta do. And then you turn him loose and he goes over there and then he tries to make it up, and then you tell him, no, stop doing that, go over here and take the trash out. No, stop doing that, go mop this floor. You know, it's a different mop bucket from the lobby than it is from the back of the counter. So it's a whole lot that goes on in running a fast food restaurant, not to mention where the person's mind is that's doing whatever it is that needs to be done. And I read an article over the last couple of days where this one guy that owns a chain, I think it was in California, he has a $21 an hour. He pays his managers $21 an hour. They have a retirement plan. He said his employees are so happy. He has a very small turnover. His employees have to refer. You can't just walk in there and say, hey, are you hiring? They are referred in by workers who already have that job. So my point being is, when your employees are happy, you're happy, your customers are happy, everybody's happy. You won't be not rich anymore. You might be a little less rich, but everybody's happy. And as long as everybody's happy, we can all get along.
I want to say that one of the things I thought was very effective is that they had some of the unionized European workers say what they make an hour. And it's very clear that these fast food chains are making money in the places that have unions.
Okay.
And this one, I think it's Denmark, the one talked about, was it $27 an hour?
Wow.
Something like that.
27?
At a McDonald's.
At a McDonald's, with pension, vacation,
Yeah.
and all variety of
Okay.
things. And she said the difference in price was 56 cents on the
The burger?
burger.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought this was a very effective campaign. And what I wanted to say a little bit was that one of the elements of this was that the workers here in the United States were able to tap into this international consortium of unions around the world. And it was through that they received as this incredible support worldwide. And as an auto worker, I know that the auto workers in the United States have taken very tentative steps towards this same sort of idea of global solidarity. That when you have a corporation headquartered in the United States with outlets literally everywhere in the world, that we cannot afford to have them do what in the UAW terms is called whipsawing, which means they, try to get this plant or this location to be competing against that location, and all it does is drive the wages down. And what's really needed is a united front, as we saw Thursday, where even those that are making $27 an hour came out in support.
Right.
Because they said $7.25, nobody can survive.
Who can survive on it?
In this day and age.
You can't survive on it. And the fact that they were willing to lose a day's pay to make that voice that we're trying to make heard even louder just says volumes to me, because it shows that somebody cares, that can help make a difference. And the people who should care the most are the guys out there with the money. And you would think, you would think that because they're making so much money, they look down and go, hey, look, that guy, he's been here for 10 years and he's still wearing them same shoes. Am I paying this man enough? But I don't think people look out for the other guy. They're only just looking out for themselves. And when it gets to the point where you're that selfish, then you need that slap on the back, or that tap on the shoulder.
I would say a slap someplace else. One of the things, again, I'm doing some research on this again to kind of put this picture, in total perspective. In the United States, the statistics are that half of all fast food workers receive some sort of public assistance.
Yes, ma'am.
That means they're on food stamps, some other program.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as Connie keeps saying, these are people who are working hard, and I know anybody who's gone into a fast food restaurant watches how fast people have to move. They are moving fast.
And the thing is, this is not something that you're just doing. This is what you must do because it's called fast food. So, you know, they've come out and said, okay, you should be able to move this many cars through the drive-through or this many people out of the lobby in this amount of time, cook this many burgers, do this, in this amount of time. But yet, you want me to sit up there and let that grease pop me? You know, I don't, you know, I don't really have a backup because whereas you need 2 people on the grill, you really got 1. And that one person is trying to grill, trying to wrap, trying to push stuff to the bank where you pick the food up. And then the server at the counter's got to make sure that if, you know, everything's in the bag, you know, they've gone from giving them 3 napkins to 1 napkin. And, you know, it's just, I just don't see how they can allow the money to just stay up at top when it takes money to make money. You need to pay your people so that your people can do the work that you're asking them to do without being spiteful about it.
There was a thing, you know, the internet is a great source of information. There was I think it was a Chicago fast food worker who said that the only reason she could even afford to eat at McDonald's is because, I guess, they got a 50% discount.
Mm-hmm.
And if she didn't have that 50% discount, she wouldn't even be able to afford the food
At
that
work.
she's making.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You're absolutely right. Same at my restaurant. We get a 50% discount, but now that discount ends when you clock out. As soon as you clock out, there's no more discount. You go back to full price. So, you know, that's nothing that you can carry outside once you leave the job. You come back to the job. And then that's just once. Say you didn't have time to fix yourself breakfast, but you fixed the kids their oatmeal or whatever and shot them out the door, then you go on to work. Well, when you get to work, if you need a chicken biscuit or whatever, and you buy that, you got to pay full price or use your discount. And then when you go to lunch, you either got to pay full price.
Oh,
or
it's
use
one
your
time a day.
Once a day, period.
Oh my God.
And what's really disturbing is if they're not doing all that well, you may get 2 unpaid breaks. So, you know, you can drink all the coffee and soda you want, but if you want to chew something, you got to pay for it.
15 is a start.
It's a good start. I agree. It's a start. It's a very good start. And, you know, it would bring us so much closer to having like a family unit at these jobs. You know, my sister retired from the post office. My sister-in-law is a former postal employee, so, you know, and my best friend's husband has been at the post office for God knows how long. And these people work hard for the money that they earn. So I just can't see taking that and putting it somewhere else where somebody's going to be like, okay, yeah, okay, here's your stamp. You know, when I go into the post office, I can ask for a Liberty stamp. They're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, and they're not training these people over at Staples to know this, that, and the third about what's going on. They just want somebody cheaper to do the same job. But when it comes to quality, and with my little $7.25 that I earn now, that I haven't earned all my life, but that I earn now, I demand quality. I demand it. And if I can't get it, then you keep whatever that is over there with you, and I'm going to keep my little precious $7.25 in my pocket and go somewhere else and get it. So I'm standing definitely with all the workers that are trying to keep the post office at the post office, because the post office is not for sale, and we can't survive on $7.25. So things have got to change. Things are changing, but not for the better. We need things to change for the better, and when we unite as one, we can make that thing change. Because like I said, sometimes you have to tap people, push them, slap them, do whatever you got to do to get their attention so that they can know this is not going to work. In the long run, yeah, you're making money, but how many times is it going to take for you to get embarrassed before you do something? They've got a board meeting this week.
I just want to ask you, you know what's happening next?
Yeah.
And we've only got 1 minute to say it.
Well, we're going up there, and we're going to tell them again, we can't survive on $7.25, so y'all need to come on in.
So this board meeting is where? Who's board meeting?
We're going to
McDonald's?
Chicago, McDonald's, yes. We're going to Chicago.
Is it a board meeting or a stockholders meeting?
It's the stockholders meeting, quarterly meeting, and they're going up there, they're going to do a civil disobedience, so look out.
You know the date?
The 20th. Oh, tomorrow.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. All right, so we'll
You heard it here first.
All right, so tomorrow, fast food workers
We'll be in
moving to
Chicago. Yes,
at
ma'am.
the
They're loading up
stockholders meeting.
tonight and they're going up north and they're gonna let McDonald's know that we can't survive on 725.
I know McDonald's is the target because it is the biggest of the
Yes.
fast food
Yes.
chains. Their CEO makes millions and millions of dollars.
mhm.
I think I read, well, I won't even go into what I read about this huge salary that this guy makes. Thank you so much, Connie
You're quite
Ogletree,
welcome.
for
Thank
coming
you for
in here,
having
me
again.
enlivening our
Thank you, Ken,
conversation.
too.
And again, I want to thank Paul McLennan from ATU for the history update. And of
Good
course,
job, Paul.
Kenyon.
Yay!
And the sister from the post office for coming in too. Our engineer Chris, our videographer Ozzy, and we have to go.
I'd just like to say one thing. Make sure you get out there and vote tomorrow.
Yes,
Yes.
vote.
All right, take care, everybody. Solidarity.
Thank you.